As you know, as people know, I like to follow the missing person phenomenon, the phenomenon that is known as missing 411 or missing 411, as some people like to say. I think that might be the proper way to say it. And this story is not necessarily a missing 411 case, but it's so peculiar, so odd, that I got to bring it up and discuss it. So it's not confirmed that it fits a missing 411 profile, but very very strange indeed to have this set of circumstance happen. And I did a little digging in the area too, pre-show. So I'll bring the headline up here. And this is Mystery Surrounds Case of 4 Men Who Disappeared While on a Bike Ride. And this was written October 15th. There has been updates since the story, but I'm going to read through it. I got some news reports we will play. It's just very curious. I can't recall like the last time I heard a story where 4 adult men all went missing at the same time. Typically in the missing 411, it's a single person that goes off on trail alone or gets separated from their family or friends, and then they're never seen from again, or they're found later dead, typically near a river or a stream or a body of water. So
with their clothes neatly folded. With
their clothes arranged in a very peculiar way. Yeah, exactly. So I'll read this a little bit. So four cyclists who set off from their homes in Oklahoma last weekend have since disappeared without a trace. Police in Oklahoma have been conducting an investigation into the case of 4 men. Mark Chaston, 32, Billy Chaston, 30, Mike Sparks, 32, and Alex Stevens, 29, who set off from Okmulgee, Oklahoma. It's Okmulgee.
I'm going to have to look at it.
Oklahoma last Sunday morning on a bike ride, and they never came back. The circumstances surrounding their disappearances are particularly strange because it is highly unusual for 4 people to go missing at the same time. I can't make sense of an actual set of circumstances because it is so unusual, said the police chief. At this point, the evidence tells me that I have 4 missing adults. I have no evidence there's any violence involved at this point. We always consider that a possibility in any missing persons case, and we're not discounting that possibility, but not persons of interest at this point. Only 2 of the men were thought to be carrying phones, and police are currently investigating a salvage yard at which Mark Chaston's phone was last pinged before it went silent. It is believed that the men had visited 2 salvage yards and had also stopped off at a gas station. Officers are currently sifting through GPS data and CCTV footage in their hunt for clues. Quote, I know nothing and I'm feeling lost, said Mark's wife. I'm heartbroken. I'm sad. I have so many mixed emotions and thoughts at this point. So there is an update to this article. I will just go ahead and play the news report here. And then we'll
wait. So there's an update to the original story already.
There's an update to this. So they went missing last weekend. These men have been missing.
But you're not going to give us any time to like wildly speculate first.
There's plenty of speculation at this point.
So we don't have a solution yet. We don't have answers. There's an update.
There's just an update. There's no possible answers at this point. But here is the
kind of shades of the Yuba County 5, by the way.
What's that?
Yuba County is the 5 guys in like the 70s who went driving to, where were they going? Truckee or Chico, California, and they got turned around and lost in the woods and disappeared for months and all sorts of issues. It was a famous one in the 70s.
Did they have a massive search party like this? Did they
Oh yeah, they found the car and they found footprints of these guys walking off into the woods, and they weren't dressed for the weather, and there was found one of the guys in a trailer or something, but then so they found some of the bodies. If I recall, a long time ago. We could dig up.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I'm not familiar with that case, but I'll play this news report here. It's only about a minute and a half. Here you go.
Police say it's too early to know if these are the 4 missing men, but they have notified their families in case it turns out to be their loved ones.
I hope this ain't them, but it's looking like it might be.
Benny Harjo is a friend of 4 men who disappeared Sunday night. He pulled up to where police had Sharp Road blocked off after Friday afternoon's discovery.
I would call evidence that there's potentially foul play involved.
Okmulgee Police Chief Joe Prenton says just before 2 Friday afternoon, someone reported a mysterious item in the area near the bridge over Deep Fork River.
Officers responded and discovered what appears to be multiple human remains in the river.
Police blocked off the road leading to that bridge as investigators worked on gathering more evidence. Police say multiple agencies are working day and night to recover and process those remains and find out who they belong to.
We don't know that this is our missing men yet.
Mark Chastain, Billy Chastain, Mike Sparks, and Alex Stevens have been missing since Sunday. Police notified their families in case the remains belong to the missing men. Chief Prentice says it's too early in the investigation to know right now.
If these are your loved ones, all we're doing is switching focus, and we're going to work just as hard to find out what happened to them as we did trying to find them.
Family, friends, investigators, and the community want to know what happened with these 4 men. And if it is them who were found in the river today, they want to know how they got there. It's a story that we will continue following for you as more information comes to light in the coming days. In Okmulgee, Janet Quesada, 2 News Oklahoma.
So there you go. There's the news report. So they found remains of some people. They didn't specify if it was these 4 gentlemen. You can probably say maybe. That's most likely the scenario at this point in time. They have GPS data and cell phone pings. They were visiting possibly a salvage yard, scrapyard. So
I thought they were cyclists. Weren't they like riding their bikes?
They're riding their bikes. Yeah. And it's apparently from there's a previous news report, which I have, which indicates that they did this fairly often. So here's a little bit of that news report.
Knowing their significant others, brothers Mark and Billy disappeared.
Do you think they're alive still?
At this point, no.
Who asks that?
Yeah.
Mark's wife says he parked his beloved red car in this spot before walking into this house with his buddies on Sunday.
Their buddies, Mike Sparks and Alex Stevens, were with them when Okmulgee police say they took off on bicycles Sunday night. 9 miles down Highway 75 is where Okmulgee investigators were searching for the men in a junkyard Wednesday. It's where police say Mark's cell phone pinged last.
But they don't go far. Never.
Crystal Parker's engaged to Mike.
I called him 197 times. I've texted his phone. You name it.
Investigators say there's no current reason to believe violence or foul play is a factor. But
this news report is obviously from days ago, before the update I just played.
Phones turned back on. Police say they'll be alerted.
If they're alive, someone's holding them hostage or something. But I just don't see 4 grown men being held hostage by one person.
The stark message: they're praying the buddy's here.
Baby, come home, please. Come home, please.
Just incredibly sad, obviously. 4 grown men die at the same time, or right around the same time, presumably, and they must have went missing at the same time. So I guess the more reasonable explanation, we'll start there, that they were trespassing at a scrapyard or a junkyard. And because they were trespassing, maybe someone shot them. Shot all 4 men. Because maybe they shot one and realized they weren't alone. And in order to cover up the first initial kill, they had to kill the rest of the group of people.
Maybe the guy bought his bullets the same place Lee Harvey did for his magic bullet.
Yeah, that would be some damn good shooting under stress. Or maybe they all rode through a pocket of carbon monoxide or some sort of poison gas that all made them incapacitated and roll into the river where they wound up dying.
I'm digging around this. We also have added that there was an unverified sighting of 4 men walking along the side of the road at 2 a.m. in the same area. So
that was
weird.
And then, so what happened to their bikes? And then it gets to the more strange phenomenon, which is the missing 411, which sometimes when people go missing in that profile, they will become disoriented. They will lose track of where they're going, where they're coming from, and it almost feels to certain witnesses that do come back from this phenomenon that it's almost like they come back from like a mushroom trip. Like everything's kind of a little distorted and like almost as if they traverse through some sort of portal and they don't know how to get out of it. And it's just very disoriented. So much so that people will strip off their clothing, even in the middle of winter. So it's just a very weird circumstance. So and then you can go down various other thought processes, like they were killed by a gang. Maybe they were stalked because they owed money to somebody. Oh, like those are all typical things. I was looking for more interesting, crazy things that would account for missing and now presumed dead grown men in the area. So I looked for UFO and paranormal related incidents in that Oklahoma area. So it is where this took place is about, I would say, 60 to 90 miles south of Tulsa. It's towards the eastern part of Oklahoma, fairly close to a national forest. And the missing 411 profiles do typically occur in and around national forests. And with that, you have a whole host of paranormal kind of events. And I found this one from 1995. This is in Kautawa, Oklahoma, which is right around Tulsa, fairly close to where they disappeared. I would say about 45 minutes away. And this is from September 5th, 1995. And this is what happened at right around 3 p.m. A witness heard the sound of a jet passing low above their country home. A man went outside in the rear of the house, facing the pasture opposite of where the noise went. At the time, something with an approximate wingspan of 10 feet flew from east to west, 20 meters above the ground and above the elm trees next to the house. It had a large head and a thin humanoid body, wings like a moth or an insect, but it did not flap them. This entity landed. His wife saw this too. It was 10 or 12 feet tall with red, oily skin and emitted an aroma almost like ammonia kind of like odor. So very pungent, very noticeable. The creature then spoke in a strange manner. At this point in time, the farmer demanded that this winged creature speak in English. And in return, this tall winged entity spoke back at this farmer in an older European accent.
I thought you say in Spanish instead.
No, it was in a European accent. It did not harm either one of the witnesses. And according to the witness, the entity claimed its name was Ivan Cole. Now, that name is very familiar to some people. Well, a very similar name is very familiar to people in the UFO community. Back in the 1960s, and possibly even early 70s, near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, there were Mothman sightings. And during this the series of Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, there were visits around town by a so-called man in black, one of the first men in black kind of persistent reports. And this person's name was Ingrid Cole. So there's like a twisting right here. So this guy, the story just read, Ivan Cole, the one from Point Pleasant, Mothman, Ingrid Cole. And it's just kind of curious that here we have a 12-foot winged creature from Oklahoma, 1995, and then you have the Mothman sightings with Men in Black called Ingrid Cole. Very curious things. Now, there's a ton of other like UFO sightings around this area too. In the forest that is just to the east, there's a national forest just to the east of where these 4 men disappeared. There was a story of 2 women that went camping in the deep inside the forest. They weren't fans, knew nothing about cryptozoology. They knew nothing about or cared anything about Bigfoot or Sasquatch. But when they're camping back there, they encountered what only could be described as an 8-foot tall Bigfoot. And they said it was obviously a male. And this obviously male Bigfoot was pounding on trees. And it telepathically communicated with these campers saying, hey, don't come any closer to me. You'll be fine. I'm not going to hurt you. Just do not approach me or else there's going to be trouble. So there's a lot of weird stories from this area.
So you're saying that they caught this Bigfoot who was clearly male because of what he was up to, and they're like, we should interrupt him. We should just
I think that they couldn't help but notice. They decided to look down and they saw something special. It's not, that story is not really relevant to the missing 4 men that I just talked about, but it's just a little point of interest that there are weird things from mid and eastern Oklahoma.
So from the chat, got a couple of suggestions here. If it's Mothman, maybe he was only speaking Spanish, hence the term moth hombre instead of Mothman. So I'm going to suggest the name Meth Man.
Meth Man, okay.
Yeah, yep.
I like Meth Man.
And I'm curious, were Mothman and the horny Bigfoot working together on cooking meth? Was this all related?
I don't think they're related at all, but we can't dismiss it. We will mark that as a point of interest.
Exactly.
Put it on the map.
Yeah, put that on there. We'll see if we can connect it to something else. So when I did hear that the remains of bodies were found, it reminded me of this older story from last year, October of last year, and this is up on screen. And this is titled "Heat Stress Likely Caused the Death of California Family While They Were Hiking." They don't, according to this report, they don't know exactly why an entire family died while they were out hiking. Now, initially they were reported as missing, a whole family, and then their bodies were discovered. And I guess the latest on this report is that they died of heat stroke. So a Northern California family found mysteriously dead in August on a hiking trail in the Sierra, most likely died from a combination of hypothermia and dehydration, the local sheriff who led the investigation said Thursday. The news sheds light on the case that has confounded investigators and the public and raised new questions about the outdoor recreational activities in an era of rising temperatures and climate-fueled extreme weather. Of course, they had to throw climate change into missing people.
I was going to say, of all the things that possibly could be, we know the one thing it was not was the vaccine.
Not that. And this comes from NPR, of course. So he goes on to say the real tragedy here, an unfortunate and tragic event due to weather. So they already said it's due to weather. But as they said, it's most likely due to stress caused by heat. But they don't know. They have no idea.
So now the climate is killing small groups of people, like it's following them around.
Well,
and when you're out on a hike, the climate jumps out from behind a tree and kills you.
Let's see what they say about these 4 men who went missing in Oklahoma, if they can blame that on the climate at all.
Oh, the river, the water level of the river suddenly rose up.
A surge of water.
Surged up over the bridge, took their bikes from them.
Yeah.
And then drowned them. And then, ta-da, climate change. We did it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted
to get Robert Stack to read that.
I mean, if NPR is talking about climate change in relation to this dead family, I guess it's a possibility. It's a possibility, but it's just extremely peculiar, much like the missing 4 men in Oklahoma. And with any of these bizarre cases, they just want it to go away. The officials want these cases to go away. They don't want anomalies like this hanging over their head. And so, yeah, they're going to find an explanation that requires no further investigation. Climate change, heat, dehydration, all of that stuff. And they'll probably do the same to these missing 4 men. And they'll probably they'll come up with something as mundane when it could be something far more crazy. You know, all those men who went missing, they were in their late 20s, early 30s, healthy guys. They're like big dudes, you know. And they all look pretty healthy.
The size of that guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if there was trouble out there, these guys look like pretty healthy Oklahomans. You know,
well, you don't know. Maybe the climate's been working out too. Climate will take on all comers.
Okay,
we're going to start seeing the climate changes and start entering MMA fights.
Yeah,
it's got some things to prove.
When it's done killing you, not vaccines.
Yeah,
we're being murdered
by the climate.
We're all getting killed here.
Well, that's all I got for the sad story of the missing men. I will follow it. I will see if there's any sort of continued investigation. Hopefully, an autopsy is done. Hopefully, they check for the presence of GHB, which does seem to be present in some GHB, not meth. Well, they can check for meth. If they do a toxicology report, I'm sure all that stuff would turn up. But that takes a lot of money to go that distance with an investigation. And they might just want to close this down. I think the family has to ask for that kind of stuff. So hopefully they'll do it.
I wonder how many bullet wounds they're going to find in these guys who are killed by climate change.
Well, it's a fascinating story, tragic. And
it is a weird one, but it also raised a lot of weird questions about the scenario in general. Like they left the guy. She even talked about he parks his car here, but they left riding bikes at 8 o'clock at night. Like,
and they say he loved his red car.
He loved his red car. Yeah, he likes his red car.
I also like how you could hear in that story. You could hear the news reporter slapping the hood.
Yeah,
my mother would say, "You love trucks." I do.
Yeah,
cars. Cars.
He loved his red car. Why didn't he say what kind of car was it? Was it like a 1992 red Chevy Chevette, or was it like a red Corvette? Was it like a badass kick-ass
like a
car?
little red Corvette?
Yeah, yeah.
Prince wrote his song about this guy's little red Corvette.
Yeah, it just kind of and Joe brings up a good question, like why. How, I would like to know how often they ride at night, where they were possibly going to previous nights. Did they have a place that they like to go to, like smoke weed, hang out, maybe drink some beers and just pal around?
Meet Mothman for some sort of underhanded dealings.
Maybe. Who knows what's going on out there?
I would like to know what Mothman's alibi was during this time. We should go find him and ask him.
Well, that guy can slip in and out of this dimension as he so chooses.
He's a tough one to pin down. You got to put on a really big light. He'll just show up to it and float around. He's
attracted to that kind of stuff. All right, we'll move on here. Here we go. If we have time, I also do have a story later about the probabilities of you buying a haunted house. So if you're kind of like wondering what are the odds, like if you buy a house, what are the odds that I would get a haunted house? Well, I got the numbers for you if you're curious.
I think I'd want to buy a haunted house. You don't have to have Netflix or HBO Max. It's all kinds of fun.
Point.
It does. It just keeps you naturally occupied unless you're absolutely terrified of the paranormal.
Yeah, and it's like some shrieking banshee and you can't sleep.
Yeah, that would be annoying. Like if you're constantly getting whispers in your ear and then like they're pounding on the bed, slamming doors, that's annoying. That keeps you up at night.
But a spiritual roommate is fun for everyone.
It could be. Like if you can just imagine like trying to go to bed and there's doorbells.
Well, now you're just living with teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs that kind of headache? Oh my God, the bears! Oh, I got the wrong
poltergeist bears.
There's ghost bears here. Oh Jesus!
Roommate ghost bear and Mothman.
Oh, those are the worst kind of bears. Very difficult.
Eating my food out of the fridge. Never cleaning up after themselves. There's crumbs everywhere. Can't leave the lights on as Mothman just circles the ceiling.
Oh no! No ghost chickens. No ghost chickens.
Mothmans were raising chickens in the dining room. It's terrible.
Shut the doors, chickens. Are you born in a barn?
There's a sitcom there of somebody who responds to an ad for roommates, and it's like Bigfoot and Mothman.
There is a bit there.
I like it.
If Saturday Night Live had any sort of creativity and funniness left in their show, they would write paranormal.
That'd be stupid easy. You just write Bigfoot roommate. That fucking writes itself.
It does. It really does. Right. He's always clogging the drain, because of the hair.
There's hair everywhere.
There's hair everywhere in the shower, Bigfoot. Fucking use a hook and get that shit out of there. Stop using my shampoo again. And don't slam the fucking door.
Through a bottle a day of this shit.
You're using one bottle of shampoo a day. Holy shit, Bigfoot. My God, yeah.
Give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links.